Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 135 of Hobby Quick Hits. Today's show is going to be a review of the card show I just set up at the fairgrounds, CollectorsFest 84. I'm going to talk about, how I did, what I seen, that sort of thing, sort of observations on the ground level, if you will. And again, it's a small sample size, but it counts and it matters. And I was, as I like to say, in the trenches as a dealer. So I'll talk about that on this episode. It won't be a long one. I'll keep it short and sweet. I know that's what Hobby Quick Hits is supposed to be all about. So we'll live up to the name. We'll go over some news, Q&A, the releases for the week, after we hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Brakes.
MojoBrakeShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports card to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, John Newman here. Mojo's prices are already great, but to save an additional 10% off anything in their store, use the code QUICKHITS. That's QUICKHITS. Check out the full service store that's open 7 days a week in Santa Clara, California, or the website at mojobreak.com.
Let's check out this week's Hobby Wax releases. Take it away, Max.
Guys, it's Max from the Sports Card Shop in New Buffalo, Michigan. I'm bringing to you guys again the weekly releases for the week of October 23rd. And to start us off, we have on the 26th, 2022 Panini Black Football, 2021-22 Panini Select Basketball, 2022 Panini Select Draft Picks Football, 2022 Topps Premier Lacrosse League, 2022 Topps MLS Chrome Soccer, and 2022 TriStar Hidden Treasures Football Mini Helmet Season Editions. And on the 28th, we have 2022 Leaf Multisport Solo Pack and 2022 Panini Chronicles Baseball. Thank you guys for tuning into the podcast. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Let's go round the hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
All right, some announcements from Beckett. They are lowering their grading fees, so go to their website to check them out. We've seen that with SEC, PSA, so the grading price wars are going in the right direction this time, which is down. And they've also announced they will start grading. They've hired a new staff of experts when it comes to the ticket market, and they will be officially grading tickets, which they've never done prior. It's always been a sort of a PSA deal, but now they are throwing their hat into the grading tickets ring. I'm not sure when if they're ready just yet, but it will be very soon. Me Grade, the auction house, is partnering, as they do with some other NBA teams, the Charlotte Hornets Foundation, to sell game-used jerseys from the season, all 4 variations, with funds going to support the Charlotte Hornets Foundation, which is a charitable organization. So if you're looking for that LaMelo Ball game used, now you know where to go. Speaking of grading with the Beckett story, CSG has gotten a crossover 52 Topps Mano, which graded a CSG 8, one of their highest and most valuable graded cards that company has graded. No mention what company it was graded for that they crossed over to. But there you go. We've seen a few documentaries relating to the hobby the last couple years with the boom, and it reportedly the shooting will start in the middle of next year, 2023. The Safdie brothers, who collaborated with Adam Sandler for Uncut Gems, will be making a movie centered around the high-end part of the hobby. And I was talking to my son about it. I just hope it's not, Uncut Gems Part 2 just with cards instead of, diamonds and garnets and rubies and that sort of thing. But time will tell. Sometimes with movies, they announce something and sometimes the movie never gets made. But reportedly shooting to start in 2023. Time for what seems like a weekly police blotter, but we got a report on it. I actually reported on this story out of Michigan. Brian Kennert, who was selling fraudulent resealed packs with fake rookie cards that he put in them to, try to cover up the fact that they were search packs. He was facing 20 years. He bilked a collector out of $43,000. And I think even more than that with some other people, but one person alone was $43,000. He was facing 20 years in prison. He is getting, I don't want to say off the hook, but he's getting off lightly. He was sentenced to 30 months in prison. And the next criminal story here is right in my backyard here in the Syracuse area. Kyle Bertrand, 32 years old, from Greece, New York, which is about an hour and a half away from Syracuse. This gentleman stole basically $33,000 worth of cards. How he did it was he would purchase cards via various pay apps, get the cards, and then refute the credit card charges and reverse the transaction and not send the cards back when they were requested to be sent back. And in one deal, he sold some cards and then sent an empty box rather than the cards that were purchased. So $33,000 in crimes. He also is facing 20 years in prison, as we all know. Probably won't get anywhere near that, but his bail was not granted, as the judge considers him a flight risk, so he'll be appearing in court in November. My wife actually pointed the story out to me in the local paper and asked me if I knew him, and I don't. But I took a look at his picture to see if he had done like the Syracuse shows. I don't recognize him. I'm not saying I know everyone at the show, but so they're 32 years old and looks like he may be a felon. I don't know if it's worth it, but he did the crime, allegedly.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, going to give you sort of a boots-on-the-ground look at my show experience at CollectorsFest 84 last week at the New York State Fairgrounds. This is a show I pretty consistently do. It's about 5 to 6 times a year. It's held on the grounds of where the New York State Fair takes place, and it's been around a long time. I've probably done it, I don't know, I'd say over 20 years now. Same promoter, so I've gotten to know Lynn Lake over the years, obviously, and a pretty good show. It has its moments. Syracuse, not so much the show, but Syracuse is not what I would call a hotbed for sports cards. But I will say this: the last 3 shows I've done there, I've sort of set 2 of the 3 shows I've set local show records for sales. Not all-time sales show records. I used to travel quite a bit to Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Connecticut, other states, Ohio, to set up a card show. So, but for local, for Syracuse being sort of my backyard home base show, The last 2 out of 3, like I said, were tremendous. And then last month, we had one there, and I really expected, like, how long can I keep this really great streak of shows up? And last month was very, very good as well. Not a record breaker, but going into this one, I kind of set the bar, like, I don't want to say low, but like, hey, there's no way I can keep this pace up with this show. Not picking on the show, but, or even the locale being Syracuse, but, everything else going on in the world, right? We see inflation and everything going up. We've seen market prices come down. And after 3 great shows, I said, man, there's no way I can have a 4th in a row. And I had a very good show, good to very good show. It wasn't on par with the 3 previous, but still very profitable and very happy with the outcome. Frankly, again, still did better than I expected to. I kind of, under-promised and I guess over-delivered. But, again, the economy and what's going on in real-world economics is definitely, we all can see it. It's starting to have an effect on the hobby, unless it's at high end where it doesn't affect the buyers on those levels. It is affecting most of the hobby. So let me talk about, but before I get into some of the observations, so let me talk about the venue. Like I said, it's the fairgrounds where the New York State Fair is held. It's 4.5 miles from my house, so I'm very close. And that actually was a big factor into something happened at this show. And so it's 4.5 miles, about 9 minutes, 10 minutes of travel time. And the promoter, Lynn, lets folks set up on the set. It's always a Sunday show, and he lets you set up on Saturday if you like to, and then just come back Sunday. What I do on the Saturday before the show is I go to do pre-setup. I don't leave any cards there, but I kind of put my showcases out. I have a stand-up case. I'll bring, a lot of my, non-card stuff, my cleaners to clean the cases, and I'll bring all that stuff. So it's a little bit less in my car on the second day, on show day, Sunday, and I call it the bones. I get the bones of my table sort of set up, but no cards there yet. And then Sunday really consists of me putting the cards out. You could leave the cards there, and I know some people do. They might have those body bags, they call them, where they lock. I don't have those. And quite frankly, even if I did, I don't think, we're not talking like the same security you'd see at a national or anything like that. So the doors are locked, but there's no one in there. So I'm not going to leave my inventory there. It's nice that I have the bones in my setup there, and Sunday I can just show up and put the cards out and get ready to rock and roll. So I like to get there, even though some of my stuff's there on Saturday. I still like to get there early Sunday, just kind of to get set up early, Windex my showcases and kind of take a deep breath and get ready for showtime. Well, I get there, I unload my card cases, my graded card cases, and something felt off. I'm like, I don't think I got everything. And for the first time ever, I've never done this at any show until this past weekend, I forgot my most expensive cards in my most expensive graded cards case. I left that at home. And, the show starts at 9:30. It's about a little bit before 8. And I'm like, can I do this show without this case? Do I want to do this show without this case? And it has a lot of the cards that go out in the showcases in it. A lot of value there. And I'm like, I'm only 4.5 miles from home. It's 9 minutes. I got time. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go home, get that missing case with those cards, and come back. And so I think I left. It was like 7:53 early in the morning. It's Sunday. and absolutely no traffic other than a few cars. And I was actually back at the fairgrounds. This is insane. At 8:10. So I ran in to the house, grabbed the case, ran back out, went back to the fairgrounds. So 7:53, I left the fairgrounds. I was back on the grounds at 8:10 with that case that was missing, no longer missing, had it in my possession. Got set up, cleaned and Windexed my cases, got it on my table, in order, pricing, all my tags out. And like I said, show starts at like 9:30. I like to be done even at 8:30 and just kind of have a seat, sit down, relax, talk to some of the other dealers, that sort of thing. But this time, because of that little snafu, I was done at about 9:15. So I didn't have much time to kill. Boom, the doors open. Now, I could tell as soon as they opened the doors, there's usually a line outside the doors. And where my table is, if you look forward, you can see the front entrance. I'm sort of in a really great spot, thankfully. And when I looked out, I didn't see that line starting to build. There were people out there, don't get me wrong, but you just could tell that there wasn't a super, super long line. And the previous two shows, I'm in Bills country. While I'm not a Bills fan, I'm in Bills country. And the previous two shows where I did real well, the Bills had played on Thursday night and had played on Monday night. There wasn't a game on Sunday, and so it sort of caught a break for a lot of the Bills fans not leaving the show to go home to catch a 1 p.m. Eastern game. This show, a little bit of a break. The Bills did play on Sunday, but they had the late game against the Chiefs at 4:20. So Bills fans that were collectors didn't have to scoot out before 1 o'clock. That helped for sure. But traffic was definitely thinner. And even the guys I was set up with in the quad, they even, said to me, man, John, look, it's not a lot of people here. And, I'm fortunate the last 3 shows on the road, I made some dealer-to-dealer sales. Those are always, not a given and a plus when they happen. In this show, same thing, which is always, I'm always appreciative of that, thankful of that, and that definitely helps. When you can make sales before the doors even open to dealers, you're in the fraternity with, that's always a good thing. That happened this show as well. And so, again, let's go back. Doors open, traffic is a little light, and early on it was a little slow, and then, between 11 and 12:30, started to pick up, at least a little bit of traffic-wise coming through the doors, and with sales-wise. Again, didn't set any records, but was a very good show. Now, again, I'm not going to mention names, but some of the dealers around me were not so fortunate, and they were pretty, they were talking openly about it, that this was not a good show for them. There was another dealer, not in my sort of space, but near me, and I heard him talking to another dealer, and he was not very happy. He said he didn't even make his table fee. So that's definitely bad when that happens, because table fees are quite reasonable. So especially when you compare them to some of these other big cities. So that was eye-opening. I was surprised he even said it sort of out loud as he did. Traffic was definitely down. I had a lot of people, if you want to say it, lowballing. They'd pick out, let's say, $100 in cards and offer $40-$50. I try to be either at comps or under to begin with, so that'll give you some perspective there. I had 3 or 4 times someone wanted about $50 in cards and offered $20 for it. And I just can't, I'm not going to, I'm all about discounts, and you buy a couple cards, we can do a little bit better on price, but people were really, really trying to get steals and deals, outrageous ones, quite frankly. Stuff that, I remember telling one gentleman, I've always said I try to maintain being cordial and dignified and professional, which I was. I don't want to, but I remember telling one gentleman, it was like $60 worth of cards he handed me, and hey, will you take 20 for these? And I basically said I can't. And frankly, if you offered, I have these cards, and if you offered me the same cards for $20, I'd probably buy them and add them to my inventory. So I definitely can't sell them for that. A few people selling. I took a look at some stuff. I found a couple things I wanted. When I asked them what they wanted for them, they wanted what eBay. They wanted eBay comps for them, and you have to explain to them that that's what we sort of use as the guide, right? So if I pay for what they're going for on eBay, what can I sell them for? I can't sell them for more than that, and why would I buy them unless it was like a PC item? So I'm trying to think. No, I didn't buy anything. Surprisingly, there's very few shows I don't buy something. I did make a trade. I traded for. I do something I don't normally do, acquiring a raw card for a graded card. Gentleman came up. He wanted my Jerry Rice rookie. It was a BGS Beckett graded 6. I have a PS7 as well out in my cases, so I had both of those. He wanted the Beckett 6, and he had a very nice Griffey Jr. Upper Deck rookie. I have a few, but this one really, on the inspection at the table, really didn't see anything really too much wrong with it. Really presented well. He said, would you take that for the Rice 6? I said, yeah, I'll do that. Now that card is into SGC, the Griffey for grading, so I'll update you on its return, what it got. So that was the only acquisition I actually made, which is not like me. I usually purchase more, but didn't get to do it. My son brought me some lunch and hung around a little bit and then went home. So I appreciated that. Some friends of mine stopped by. We chatted. Overall, the show was good to very good. The previous 3 were in the great category, so this was not great, but good to very good, where the previous 3 were great. Didn't spend, like I said, didn't buy much at all. Made that one trade. A lot of low ball offers. People are watching their wallets, purses, checking accounts. Money is discretionary income is getting tighter. Like I said, some of the offers I got, quite frankly, for lack of a better way to put it, were absurd. And talking to some of my fellow dealers, they were reporting the same thing, that people were trying to get a lot for a little. And it's hard to do that because especially when you're pretty much below comps or at comps, and then they're trying to get it even cheaper. And eBay sort of made everybody a seller, and so that line is blurred. That's just the way it is. And with everything being said and everything I talked about, the fact that I don't like to say what I did, but the fact that I did what I did, considering all those variables, I'm very, very fortunate. I like I said, I heard some of the dealers around me be pretty open about they didn't do very well. They're not happy with this outing, and it always is. It's always a weird spot to be in as a dealer when you feel like you probably did better than the immediate folks right around you, because when they ask you how'd you do, and you almost feel guilty saying, hey, wasn't terrible, and but it is what it is, and I try to be honest. I never give actual figures. I just talk in generic terms. Wasn't great, was very good, great show, that sort of thing. So I said I did better than expected, but not as great. That's how, when they asked me how you did, that's what I told them. I said I did better than expected, but not as great as the previous 3 shows. And traffic was down. We talked about that. And I'm not sure why, because, like I said, the Bills game was in the late afternoon slot. So I just think, the market is prices coming down. But, it's a great, it's what I say on this show, or Sports Car Nation, right? those prices dipping, it's a great time to buy. Now, if you're going to offer $20 on a $50 comp, very few dealers are going to do that. So that, don't expect miracles, but it's still a great time. I mean, I gave plenty of deals. Someone had $40, $50 in cards they handed me. Even when they don't ask for the deal, if they buy in quantity, I'm going to knock the price off. One guy was a little surprised. I think he handed me about $50 in loose cards, and I'm like, $35, I think I said. He goes, really? I'm like, yeah, you buy them out? He goes, I appreciate that, man. I'll be back here again at a future show. So stuff like that goes a long way. I did do, again, I talked about some of the absurd offers. There were others that were legitimate offers, and I worked with the person and got deals done. So I don't want to, say every offer was a low ball. Wasn't. But there was more than usual. And to stick up for the consumers, I think that's where we are economy-wise, is people are just trying to get as much bang for their buck as they can. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them. And, what's that bode well for the next show in Syracuse? I don't know. I can tell you it's December 4th, CollectorsFest 85. It's called the Mega Show. It's not only going to be the sports card guys, but it's going to be toy collectors, non-sports. It's the Mega Show. The TARDIS from The Who is going to be there. The Ghostbusters card is going to be there. And I've already announced, but I'll announce here on this broadcast for anyone in the central New York area or traveling into the area on December 4th. I will be officially accepting for bulk grading SGC subs at the December 4th card show in Syracuse, New York. They will be at bulk price, so cheaper than if you did it yourself. And right now, turnaround time is 5 to 10 days. And so I'll have some SGC swag. They are sending me some swag to give out for folks. So the promoter, Lynn Lake, is in accordance with that, is going to give me a table for them. So I'll have a separate table besides the two I normally have to take any SG bulk subs in for you. So I wanted to announce that. I know I put it on social medias, but I haven't talked about it, I don't believe, on any of the podcasts. So there you go, and that'll be on December 4th, just before Christmas. A good opportunity to buy some sports cards for yourself for Christmas, or for a fellow hobbyist for Christmas. And that show, traditionally, they always do one in December. I don't want to jinx nothing, but that show's always been pretty good for me. So we'll see. We'll see where the economy is, in about 6 to 7 weeks when that show takes place. But so looking forward to that. That's really the next show on my docket as far as setting up goes. So, we'll see where the market continues to trend, and I'm sure I'll do a sort of a review on that show. So, I'm going to wrap this episode, this part of the show up, right there with, sort of my boots on the ground look, at least here from Syracuse, on the show circuit. There you go.
Check out our website at www.sportscardnationpodcast.com for the new release schedule, our blog, all show episodes, and so much more.
All right, that's a wrap for episode 135 of Hobby Quick Hits. A little bit shared my experience at the Fairgrounds show. And, it's getting to be a little bit of a grind to do shows. I still love them. Don't misinterpret that. And frankly, if I wasn't doing as good as I was with them and on them and at them, I probably wouldn't do them anymore. But love the people. But, you will say, well, I thought you loved the hobby. You love, talking to people, John. Why would you not do the show? Don't forget, there's two ways to do a show, right? You can set up as a dealer, and you can go to the show as a consumer. So, even if I didn't set up, I would most likely be there on the consumer end and still have, pretty similar conversations. I'm just talking about the grind for pricing and carrying and lugging and unloading and all that fun stuff, right? And it is fun, but it's a labor of love. Like I said, if I wasn't having as much fun and doing as well, I mean, that right? What do you do a show for, right? You want to do good business, right? And if I wasn't, that's where, I could still get all the other stuff without even having to set up. But you set up because you're doing business and you want to do good business. And I've been very fortunate in 30-something plus years of doing shows to do fairly well most of the time. So I'm going to continue that trend for the unforeseen future. But I always the thought's always in the back of my mind to how long do I want to set up at shows for. But we'll keep going, and again, I hope to see you at a show soon.